Aargau Topsport und Tele1 präsentieren die 21. Ausgabe vom Baden Masters vom 20. bis zum 22. August. Die amtierende Olympiasiegerin bei den Damen, Anna Hasselborg aus Schweden, fordert die Herren-Welteliten raus. Das hat es noch nie gegeben. Können die amtierenden Herren-Weltmeister aus Schweden ihren Titel verteidigen? Wie halten die Schweizer Top-Teams mit? Girling-Weltklasse der Damen und der Herren direkt vor der Haustür. Das Baden Masters wird präsentiert vom Swisslo Sportfonds Aargau, V-Zug, dem Schweizer Haushaltsgerätehersteller und der Walde Immobilien AG, die Mensch und Immobilien zusammenbringen.
Good morning, Curling World. Welcome back to Baden for the second day of the Baden Masters 2021 edition. We're just in the first end of our featured game this morning. Two fairly familiar teams out there. We can go ahead and say hello to them right away. On the left of your screen there, it's a team that we already caught up with yesterday, and that is Team Ramsfjell. We've been practicing our Norwegian all day yesterday in case you weren't able to join, and the Team Ramsfjell from Norway, they are skipped by fourth thrower as well, Magnus Ramsfjell. Third thrower is Martin Sesaker. Second thrower is Bendik Ramsfjell, and lead thrower is Gaute Nebstad. And very familiar faces on the right of your screen, that's Team Retornaz from Italy. Fourth and skip is Joel Retornaz. Third thrower is Amos Mazzana. Second thrower Sebastiano Armand. And lead thrower and vice skip is Simona Bonin. And they are coached by Claudio Pescia, who's also here at the club this morning. So exciting lineup. We watched the Ramsfjell team yesterday. And this is our first look at Joel's team for the weekend. So you're joining us in the first end. The Italians have hammer. They had a better last shot draw. Italy throwing yellow stones and the Norwegians throwing red. Everybody dressed in white, so don't get confused with the uniforms. And quite a lot of stones in play for a first end. Italy, the yellow stones with last shot, so they've got a couple of stones hanging around on the wings. They're typically fairly efficient with last stone, and oh whoops, that's not a nice start for the Norwegians there. That's a bit too much of a controlled weight there. That curled right off that stone, so big opportunity now for Italy. You can see a couple of yellows hanging around already. Yeah, I quite like that. We can just bump that yellow in a bit further and keep giving the Norwegians the headache in this first end. Bright start then for Italy. Looks like they're in control of this first end, and they have last stone. So first throw for the big man today, Amos Mazzana.
Backline! Oh! Backline! Clean! Clean! Backline, Staffan! Clean!
The sweepers are pretty happy with it. I think he's going to catch it just nicely. Oh, there's a nice shot, look at that. Gets the split spot on, and I think that's yellow line 3. So the Norwegians in a bit of trouble already this morning.
Ganske nære å gå på den. Jeg tror den går under. Jeg tror den går under her. Jeg tror vi skal spille på den. Med I hvert fall 8.
Well, they're contemplating
Nose ganske bra det, og det ikke noe dobbelt
this rather unfortunate first end. That's a you need to get rid of something here, boys. But while they're contemplating their options, let's see who else is out there today. We've got 4 tasty lineups this morning. We have on sheet 1, we have an All-Swiss affair. We have Team Bannwart, the young Swiss team, against my little favourites, the Hoesli brothers, the team from Glarus. That's on sheet 1. Sheet 2 here, our featured game, that's Team Ramsfjell against Team Retornaz from Italy. Let's see how that works out. Oh my goodness, someone's taken a tumble already. Goodness me. Everything's going wrong for Norway at the moment. Still smiling, seems okay.
Oh, it's yours. Oh, thank you.
Gauten Epstad having a bit of a wobble there. And next door on sheet 3, we have Team Schneider from Switzerland against Anna Hasselborg's team from Sweden. And on sheet 4, we have Team Schwaller against Team Hess. So 4 tasty games out there. Of course, if you fall over at this level, then everybody just shouts at you to get out of the way of the stone. Nobody feels sorry for you or hopes you haven't hurt yourself. They just don't want you to touch their stone and put it out of play by mistake. But don't worry, if you're at the club and you take a bit of a tumble, then don't worry, everybody will stop and make sure you're okay. Yeah, see, everyone in the ice rink has a bit of a giggle when someone at this level takes a tumble. But they typically won't hurt themselves, and it seems like Gaut is indeed fine.
Vet ikke. Jeg var ikke nær noen steiner I hvert fall. Nei, det var det jeg også trodde. Da var det hun har gjort. Jeg bare mistet fotfestet, og så gled jeg halvveis inn på banen deres.
Everyone on their first end then, this 10:30 draw. No extra ends for the 8 o'clock draw this morning. We're on time for just now. Another nice shot for Amos Mazzano there. So Italy looking pretty happy in this first end. A bit of work for Norway to do at the moment to damage limitation out there.
Det beste så klart å sette dem. Ja. Hvis vi støffer den, så den fortsatt åpen til neste. Det skal litt til å stikke ned egen, så lenge vi har nok is. Liker å prøve? Ja. Hvilken fart da? Pil? Ja.
Punto così dietro non era neanche da considerare.
Togliendo la rossa, andavano già per
If you're just joining us for breakfast time or getting towards brunch time curling here in Europe, welcome, welcome. We're on the second day of our weekends curling here at the Baden Masters 2021 edition. We're very happy that our teams from Norway were able to travel again this year. If you joined us last year, you would remember that several of our favourite teams we weren't able to see due to corona travel restrictions, so great to see our Norwegian teams back. 3 Norwegian teams here this weekend.
Whoa! Oi.
Goodness me. Norway all over the place this morning. Maybe they forgot to have their breakfast or something. A couple of Luft takeouts, as we would say in German, and air takeout, so a couple of complete misses already in this first end, and Gauten Epstad taking a bit of a tumble, so come on Norway, pull yourselves together a bit. Maybe they're not morning people at all. Or maybe they're so intimidated playing the current European bronze medalists in the form of Joe Retornaz's team. Maybe they need to take a minute to just concentrate and get those nerves out. And as Michaela says in the chat, indeed, the Retornaz rink is one of my favourite teams to watch. I really enjoy watching them. They've been working hard for a long number of years now together. They've really experimented with different lineups, different folk skipping and vice skipping, and they've landed on this constellation that's really working for them. I think objectively they had a strong season last year. They were forever making semis and finals, but didn't quite manage to push it over the line. So I'm really hoping that they can get that extra step this year. And this is pretty nice first shot from Joel. It's run on a little bit, but it won't change the shot that Ramsfjell is attempting. He was always going to try for the hit and roll. We have super fans Michaela and Megan in the chat. If you want to say hi in the chat, if you want to let us know what you're doing. How's your weekend going so far? We love to see it. Don't feel shy. Everyone in the virtual club is very nice. Everyone's welcome. And we fully welcome all of your contributions. So last shot here for Ramsfjell from Norway. This has to be good. Yes, no sweeping is typically a good sign. I think, yes, I will sweep that, boys. Or it's going to roll too far. That's a pretty good effort. I'm not sure he's lying short. I can't tell if that front yellow is still... Oh, there we have a nice overhead as well. So yeah, yellow's still lying one. Nice easy shot. Same shot for Joel. 2 points on the board, please. As I said, for me, this Italian team are very, very efficient when they've got a hammer. And their games are very often like this for me. They often get hammer in the first end. They're very efficient with their last shot draw. And they often pick up that 2 in the first end. They rarely seem to need a few practice stones in the first end to get the feel of it. They really come out of the blocks ready to go. They quite often pick up a 2 early in the game, and they can be very difficult to get past Retornaz's team once they've got a few points up. They can be very, very difficult to get past. So yeah, for me, very efficient team. No trouble there for Joel. Exactly the same way. Just playing that different, the opposite handle, the counterclockwise handle. Maybe just to have a bit of a look at the line and just to avoid the few stones out front. And as we often see then from Retornaz, a very efficient first end, picking up 2 with hammer. And statistically, if you're into that sort of thing, and I am because I'm a scientist in my other life, I'm a bit of a geek. Statistically, if you get a 2 in the first end, you typically do go on to win the game actually, more often than not. If you can put up that 2 using the hammer in the first end, more than 50% of the time you will go on to win the game at this level.
Giallo. Cazzo bisogna giocare per punto qua. Quanto bisogna giocare? Cosa giocavano?
If you're just tuning in, welcome to the start of the second end in our featured game here at the Baden Masters, the first of the European WCT events for the 21-22 season. We are watching Team Ramsfjell from Norway, and they are playing Team Retornaz from Italy. The Italians off to an efficient start as usual, with a nice tidy 2 in the first end. Norway a bit all over the place in that first end. They had a couple of complete misses, which is very unlike them, and Gauta taking a bit of a tumble, so let's hope they've had a team chat, settled the nerves. And yeah, let's have a nice strong second end. So they're going to put up a corner guard and start fighting back for those 2 points right away. All of our games here this weekend are 8 ends. If the score is tied after 8 ends, we will have 1 extra end.
Perfect. 2 er bra, 2,5. Ja, 2,5.
We had, I think, 2 extra ends yesterday.
Litt plass foreløpig.
It was a really tight schedule yesterday. We had 6 sessions yesterday. The first one at 8 o'clock in the morning and the last session at 9 o'clock at night. Not a lot of flexibility for extra ends. So really everyone except the 4 players who need the extra end would really rather that we get it done in the 8 ends instead.
chiedo.
Sì, ok. No, piena va bene.
Michaela asks in the chat, was there technical gremlins to the other live stream? I think there was, yeah, there was, one of them hadn't got switched off, or so we couldn't switch the other one on, something like that. So
Wow.
I think, yeah, maybe the technical gremlins definitely had their breakfast this morning.
Rama. Rama. Rama, Rama, Rama. Okay.
If you have a question, or if you just want to say hi, how's your weekend going?
Edin.
What's going on in your part of the world? We love to hear from you.
No.
I know we've had people tuning in from, certainly last year, we had folks from all over. We had fans tuning in from Canada, from the US, from Brazil. We had our friend John Campbell from New Zealand curling. So really, everybody welcome here in the virtual club. And there is loads of curling for you to watch this weekend. The featured game is always on sheet 2 for each of the draws. And the static cam is always watching sheets 3 and 4. So if you really want to, you can watch 3 games of curling, every single draw. And that should be enough to keep you going until the next competition. All of our games on their second end, so let's see how everybody got on in that first end. On sheet 1, the all-Swiss game between Bannwart and Hoesli. That was a blank end. In our featured game, that was a nice strong 2 for the Italian team. On sheet 3, it was also a blank end. That's the game between Schneider and Anna Hasselborg. And on sheet 4, between Schwaller and Hess, it was 1 point. It was a stolen point for Jannik Schwaller's team against Jan Hess. This afternoon, we shall be watching the game between Anna Hasselborg and Jannik Schwaller. Both of them won both of their games yesterday. And that could be a really exciting top of the group clash later on this afternoon. That is at 4 o'clock European. And for this morning, let's see how we're getting on back here in our featured game. I think this is my last Norwegian game for the moment. Let's see who's making it to the knockout rounds.
10,5.
Wow. Wow. Dall'altra, Momo. Whoa, whoa. Yep, yep. Whoa.
Another really nice throw from the Italian team. Again, you can hear how they were communicating all the way up. The sweepers really communicating what the weight was. Yeah, the stones traveling at the right speed. Weight's really nice, and Joel really watching that line the whole way up. And the result is a really nice team shot there. They got exactly what they were looking for. Really controlled hit and roll. So again, Norway are the ones that have got work to do in this end. But they do have last shot now.
Lui è passato vicino quando ha giocato il link, voleva giocare il roll. Chi? Lui che ha giocato prima? Per giocare in auto non era facile, secondo me.
Backline! In! Oh!
Ah no, ok,
Backline!
I can quickly tell you how we got on this morning.
Yep, whoa, whoa,
There was a game at 8 o'clock. And maybe all those teams at 8 o'clock this morning, maybe they had heard me complaining about extra ends yesterday, because everybody was conveniently off before even 8 ends. And we had Team Traub against Team Nedregotten. And that was 7-2 win for Team Traub. we had Team Edin against Irene Schori's team. And that was a bit of a game too far for Irene's team, unfortunately. That was a 6-0 win for Team Edin. We had the other Swedish team here, Team Magnusson. They had a bit of a tough day yesterday, and they finished off their competition really strongly with a 6-3 win over Team Dorp. And let me just see that fourth result.
Hvis de kommer hit, så sliter vi litt da, så bare dra
her,
kanskje.
There's a bit of a blowout on rink 1 this morning at 8 o'clock. The Cruz juggernaut travels on, and that was a 9-1 win for De Cruz over Team Pfister. All the teams then heeding the complaints about not going to extra ends, please. And everybody tidily getting off in maximum 7 ends.
Litt tight. Fart viktig. Fin linje. Fin linje, litt plass. Henger veldig. Henger veldig. Henger veldig. Og da aldri nedpå. Da må vi vente på curl uansett.
One more game today for the groups that were on at 8 o'clock. They will play again at lunchtime at 1:45 European. And one more game after this half of the draw for these teams. They will play again at 4 o'clock European. After that, then all of the teams are ranked, and the top 8 teams will progress to quarterfinals this evening.
Però lui non gira tanto qua. Penso che può giocare run, eh. Secondo me sta dritta.
So this is better stuff from Norway. Got a couple of nice shots in there. But gosh, nothing safe from the big levers of Amos Mazana. He's got a huge throw on him, and he managed to clear both those reds out of the forefoot and the centre guard. And I don't even think that's quite what he was going for, but even when he is a little bit off target, Mazana, he typically sends a lot of stones scooting around. But Norway, I think that red looks like it's still lying short on the wing there. They need to not let that get to them, Norway. I'm sure they won't, but it can be a bit intimidating or a bit deflating when you're working so hard with these draws, and all 4 of you are working with the sweepers are calling the weight and Skip's calling the line. And then with one gigantic shot, all that hard work is out of the rings again, and you really need to not let that get to you. But that's another mistake from Norway. They really need to tighten up out there, or I think their competition may be coming to a close. They do have one more game this afternoon, Ramsfjell, but that's against Van Dorp's team from the Netherlands, who are also having a fairly happy weekend. They're an aggressive team, and that is not an easy point to stay in the competition to get past Van Dorp. Again, I feel like this is often the case with this Italian team. I feel like I rarely see them getting in a big muddle. They rarely seem to be having to look at very complicated shots. Norway making their life fairly straightforward at the moment this morning, but still they really managed to control their games, this Italian team. Everything nice and tidy. Again, that nice controlled weight. No need to throw a big screamer at this one. Make sure that yellow hangs around. Put that pressure on Norway. Norway don't need to do anything about that stone that Joel just threw. They do want to use those 2 guards that are still out front. But drawing against 2 is naturally more of a risk than drawing against only 1 stone. The more yellows hanging around, the more pressure there is on these final stones for Magnus Ramsfjell.
Jo høyere, jo bedre nesten. Ja. Eller han kommer fort til å spille runnen da. Full 8. Ja.
We could do with steadying the ship here, Magnus.
10 secondi.
Jeg synes det mye, egentlig.
Buon tiro con buona
Jeg
linea.
hadde omtrent så mye når de
Buon tiro con
senter
una
på
buona
sin.
linea anche questo.
Sentivo, sì, infatti.
Full 8 omtrent. Tipper han kommer til å runne hvis vi er bare sånn bite 8. Men vi trenger bare bite 8 for å få...
Nice tidy draw in behind this yellow guard by the look of it. Let's give Joel something a bit more complicated to do.
Plass foreløpig!
But if nothing else, this is a nice practice shot. He's going to have to draw with his last stone anyway, Magnus.
Litt plass! Forsiktig, Martin! Wow! Forsiktig, Martin!
So this is a good practice shot in a way.
Gjerne vente!
He can learn from this shot if his weight and the line is correct.
Kom igjen! Begynner å bli igjen! Kom igjen! Hard! Litt til!
It's stopping up just short, but it is lying closest to the middle just now.
Lui lontano, secondo me arriviamo con 12 palla così piena.
So that's a nice effort from Magnus.
Fine però.
I think Joel can probably see maybe 1/3 of that stone. He needs to be a little bit careful because if he catches this at the wrong angle, that yellow on the left of our screen could be catching it. But this is exactly the kind of shot that skips are looking at these kind of games. I don't think Joel will be too intimidated. I think he'll probably throw similar weight to last time, that nice controlled weight, make sure the sweepers can really try to help. We have sweepers, so let's use them. So last shot here for Italy in the second end of our featured game in Baden.
Whoa!
Easy.
No!
Vicina. No.
Whoa! Giù!
No,
Occhio!
aspetta, è buona.
Giù a bomba, giù quel che hai!
Bra spilt.
Giù quel che hai, tutto quel che hai.
And look at that, perfectly judged. You can see it was so close to catching on that back yellow. They had to be very careful. But again, lovely tidy stone from the Italians, and Magnus is going to have to play pretty much the same stone he just threw. He'll need it a few centimetres deeper because I think that yellow just thrown by Joel looks like that's fully in the 8 foot in the white circle.
Litt forsiktig med garden. Vi har ganske like is.
And as we said, plenty of space for Magnus. He just has to throw the same again. He needs to put those 3 yellows out of his mind and just throw the same shot. But if something does go wrong with this shot, if the weight's not correct, then Italy have got 3 yellow counters just ready to pick up points. But I think he looks pretty nice. I didn't want to say anything until he threw because I didn't want to curse him by mistake. But this looks really nice from Magnus. The sweepers just keeping it nice and clean, nice and safe. Really well played there. Never easy drawing against 3. So well done, Magnus. That makes our score here on sheet 2. After 2 ends, that will be 2-1 to Retornaz of Italy. Okay, so we've got all of our silly shots out of our system, hopefully. The Norwegians, now time to start putting 8 shots together and building an end.
Okay, Tegard.
Eight ends, all of our games here this weekend. A bit of a different feel than the 10-end game. So in a 10-end game, of course, after end 5, you're only halfway, but in an 8-end game, after end 5, you've only got 3 ends left, so you need to start thinking of the end game. Again, if you're a bit of a statistics geek, which I am, statistically, an 8-end game and a 10-end game are the same when you look at all the factors and the predictions of who will win from what position, etc. But it can be a different mentality, certainly, playing 8 ends rather than 10. And that's a brighter start from Norway. That's exactly where they wanted it. A nice tight guard, tight to the house. Protected by the free guard zone for 5 stones.
No, linea.
Aspetta, linea. $13.80, solo giù se vai.
I think Simona has just overthrown this. That's not like him. So the line's all there, but plenty space for Norway to get in something ahead of that, yeah. I think that's more where Simona was heading for, where Magnus wants to put a stone now.
Litt hard bak 4. Fin linje. Fin linje. Litt tight. Nei, fin linje. Skal gå helt ned da. Henger veldig på linje.
Everyone else hasn't quite finished 2 ends. We're waiting on the slow pokes on rink 4, and then we'll go around and see what the other scores are.
Linea buona.
Aspetta un po' linea, aspetta.
Possiamo aspettare. Sembra correre anche questa, eh. Andiamo qua dietro.
Featured game.
Se andiamo qua bisogna tenere linea. Se andiamo qua su
high
linea.
Again for the Norwegians from lead thrower Gauten Ebstad, so that gives Simona a chance. So yeah, everyone kind of following that same line, but everything behind T. Nothing particularly helpful there, really. Could make life harder later on if we want to start moving stones around, but yeah, everybody with a little bit too much weight on those. So whoever can get ahead of T, you get to control the end.
6! Bare fart! Bare fart! 6!
Right, they have finally finished their second end on sheet 4. So let's go around and see how everybody's doing. On sheet 1, we have the game between Team Bannwart and Team Hoesli, both the Swiss teams, and the Hoeslis have picked up a nice 2 against the hammer in the second end, and looks like they've got a couple of stones lying in the third end, so it looks like they're having a good start this morning. They'll be hoping that they can be qualifying for the quarterfinals this evening. In our featured game here, after 2 ends, the score is 2-1 to Joel Retornaz's Italian team over Magnus Ramsfjell's Norwegian team. Next door on sheet 3, it was a score of 2 in the second end to André Schneider's team with the hammer. They lead 2-0, Anna Hasselborg's team from Sweden. And on sheet 4, the game between Jan Hess and Yannick Schwaller. That was a stolen point to Schwaller, so after 2 ends, it's 2-0 to Yannick Schwaller over Jan Hess. And it looks like Jan's team are playing without Jan Hess this morning. I'll see if we can maybe find out what's the situation there. I hope Jan Hess is okay. Always difficult to play with 3 people. You're throwing an extra stone every end. Well, 2 of you are, so 2 of you are throwing 3 stones each instead of 2, and that gets a bit tiring. And if you've only got 1 sweeper at this level, it's really very tiring as well. So that's very tough actually to play at this level with only 3 players. Not much fun. So I will try and find out if there's any information. Hopefully Jan Hess is not injured or nothing's gone wrong. So Norway did finally get that nice shot on the top of the forefoot.
12:40.
And this is giving them a few more options here. So they got that nice stone hidden. Italy did move it. So that was nice throwing from Sebastiano Arman. But there was no way for him to move that stone without popping out into the open himself, which is exactly what Magnus wants. So now he can take the play further away from those stones behind.
Ren. 9-5. Ren. Japp. Japp. Hard. Sorry, Martin. Bra spilt.
Got it on the nose then. I think that wasn't quite what he wanted because, yeah, you can see Italy now has the chance.
10.
They have last stone this end. They have a chance to sneak 2 in behind that red guard out front. I think Magnus wanted to roll a little bit more to the left of our screen and try to keep play away from giving Joel a chance to do a hit and roll.
11.
Clean.
So you can hear the guys calling
Oh.
the timing of the stone that they want. Sometimes you hear them say 10 or 11.
Hard, hard, hard.
It sounded like this was an 11, and you can see Simona sweeping 4 curl there to try to get that stone to curl a little bit more. So they didn't actually get their hit and roll. That was the opposite to Norway's stone. That didn't curl enough for them. But when we hear the teams talking about a 10-second stone or an 11-second stone, the 10 seconds refers to the time between the hog lines. And I would say that's the most usual way of timing a stone now, or talking about how the speed of the stone that you want to throw.
Kom igjen, kom igjen, kom igjen, kom igjen. Ut da, Magnus.
Well, that's not a bad result for Norway. Moving things around a bit, but could have done with squeezing out more than one Italian stone with that shot. Just didn't quite find the nice angles. The time between the hog lines, you'll hear that fairly regularly these days on this nice championship ice, competition ice. Typically, if you want to punch a stone through, 10 seconds or 11 seconds for the stone travelling hog to hog. That's about normal for that kind of stone. And for T-line, the time between the hog lines would be maybe 14 seconds, something like that. 13 and a half, 14 seconds. Half shot there from Amos. He would have wanted that a bit deeper because you can see that gives Norway space to sneak one around. I think you have to do that, Norway. Yeah, I think no easy take-out shots here. I think you're going to have to be brave here and be out-aggressive. You get to the centre and you get to that T-line first and make it difficult for Italy to score from there. But again, the Italian team keeping everything nice and tidy, never giving themselves difficult situations to look at.
Jeg ga den. Linja er grei. Fin linje, litt tight. Fin linje, fin linje. Linja er fin. Gå da. Gå da. Bare hvis dere må. Linja er veldig bra. Linja er nydelig. Linja er nydelig.
This is an important shot here. If this one goes wrong, Magnus is going to be looking at a bucket full with his last stone, but I think he's got it just about perfect. That is a great stone under pressure. Well done, Magnus. Yeah, nothing to see there. certainly space for Joel and Italy to follow that path. They could perhaps bump that red a little bit further out. But I think it will be very difficult for them to bring those yellows, the other yellows, round about that red. It will be very difficult to move that red far enough to bring those other yellows back into play. So really good saving shot there from Magnus. I think that does deserve a smile.
Joy, o intanto, ok. O intanto qui. E poi possiamo giocare questo dopo.
È difficile, in effetti. No, infatti. Freeze. No. Freeze.
Freeze.
Still a wee bit of discussion there about what they want to do with the shot. Do they really want to freeze? So just follow that stone in that Magnus just threw and land it right in front, or do they want to try to move the red a little bit? Looks like freeze is the option, so they're taking very similar ice to the ice Magnus just took.
Spiller den med sånn 10-5, så sitter du jo 2. Mye lettere å rulle bak også. Ja. Får du kanskje lov til å snakke sånn hvis man slår det et sted først. Ja.
Linea buona! Linea buona! Linea perfetta!
Sounds like the line is
Linea buona
nice.
ancora!
You
Linea
can see both the
perfetta!
sweepers, Sebastiano and Amos,
Linea buona, un po' di spazio!
always looking up, always checking.
Linea perfetta!
Simona says the line's just fine. It's all up to you guys.
Secondo me
All
non
up to you guys for the weight.
possiamo toccare, sì. È un buon tiro. Va bene.
Really nice.
Sketchy, men man kan garde.
Va bene lì intanto, va bene lì, va
Da får
bene.
han 2 ganske greit, da. tror jeg.
Det er sant.
Va bene, says Simona. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good effort there.
Vi må liksom
Buon
ta
angolo.
da, hvis vi skal
I think, yeah,
gå
Norby
etter den.
can get to that if they played a fairly similar shot, just if they played just about half a metre more weight
Så at han ikke får noe sånn
than he played with his last one. I think he may be able to move that yellow a little bit, or he could play the same again. If Magnus now plays a pretty similar shot, if he corner freezes right on top of that yellow that Joel just threw, or even a little bit, yeah, to the right of it, the right of the corner freeze, he may leave no space for Italy. Needs to be a little bit careful that he doesn't set up nice angles for a big hit. But I think, yeah, a very similar shot that Magnus just threw, I think will probably serve them best. At least T-weight. Yeah, we would call that a T+. So that means a little bit of extra weight to bring it over the T-line, but not really, nowhere near backline. And that looks like that's the call. Last shot here from Magnus Ramsfjell in this third end of our featured game here at the Baden Masters. This is our first event in the WCT Tour for 21-22 season. And you can keep up with all the news from WCT Tour on the website, which is worldcurlingtour.org. And as we said, all of the games from this weekend. We have one featured game on sheet 2 every round, and we have the static cam on sheets 3 and 4 every round, and all of those will be in the video archive on WCT TV. You can even watch last year's competition from the video vault as well.
Martin! Yep!
This looks pretty nice from Magnus. Oh, that's a great shot. Really nice. This forces Joel into quite a tricky shot now. He can again play that similar kind of path with maybe a little bit more weight, just catch the edge of that red. It might be difficult for him to keep his shooter stone in play as well. And not straightforward even to get to that red. Although we have just seen a few stones coming down that path.
me anche.
Everyone coming up to have a look at this one. And that should give the Norwegian team a nice confidence boost that they seem to have settled down a bit now. They're a bit more into the rhythm of the game, playing some nice stones. And some problems for the Italians. We're making them think a bit more, and that's always good.
Guarda la linea anche tu, Rama, che scoppi. La linea è questa qua nera.
Var klart å koste det gule da?
Ja. Er det bare den gule på bak lokk som
Ja, kan den treffer den sjueren bak her og splitter den ut, men hvis han treffer den øverste veldig tynt, så blir jo ikke det så aktuelt. Da treffer den tynt nok, så går nesten ikke vår sjuer langt nok heller, så...
Oh, no! Step! Whoa! Whoa! No!
So indeed, he just wants to catch the edge of this red. He's pretty close. Oh, look at that, and he's just clipped the other red as well. Gosh, that was a great shot. I didn't even see that the back red would move as well. Great shot there from Italy. I think that was at least 2 yellow.
Skulle holdt vinkelen litt til, faktisk. Han spilte et treff med litt hardere, så
Let's have another look at this one.
Skulle gått litt til motskjørt på vår.
Super shot, look at that.
Den bouncer veldig oppover der, så nok spretter de stengene.
Indeed, a great score of 2. And again, that efficiency with hammer with Italy. That would be an interesting statistic for me to look at, would be the hammer efficiency. And what that means is, every time when that team has hammer, how often do they score more than 1 point? And I think this Italian team would be fairly high up the table. Norwegians still seem cheerful, that's good to see.
Ja, det lite som skulle til der, altså. Kølla 3 cm mindre, så hadde det vært ganske vanskelig å få poeng, liksom.
While we're setting up on this 4th end in our featured game this morning, I can tell you what's going on in the other groups, and then we can go and check on the scores as well. So the groups that played this morning, as I said, they've all got 1 more game left, but at the moment in section A, so Peter de Cruz, I think they've already qualified. Yes, they've already qualified with 6 points out of their 3 games. I think they may even have only played about 8 ends in total. They have been absolutely walloping through everybody. And then there's a couple of teams on 4 points. Walstad and Pfister. And actually, even young team Magnusson, I know there's plenty of support for them out there as well. They've got 1 more game, and they could get to 4 points actually. In which case, then the last shot draw could come into play. So quite tight in Group A, apart from the de Cruz rink, who are already qualified. And Group B, who also played this morning. Edin also out in front. 3 wins from 3. And then the young team Traub from Switzerland. They are in 2nd place in that group just now, also with a game in hand. So the 2 of them at the top of the pile at the moment. Totzek and Nedregotten, they have 1 win each and could get to 4 points. And Schori's competition, unfortunately for them, their competition is finished. They have the bye in the next round. But they got that nice win over Nedregotten yesterday, so they finish up with 1 win. And that's good to see that all of these teams can beat anyone else on a good day, and that's always nice. No easy games. Let's then have a look at what else is going on this morning's session. On sheet 1, in the game between Bannwart and Hoesli, both Swiss teams, it was another blank end in the 3rd end. Very cagey stuff out there. But that 2 in the 2nd end means that Team Hoesli is still 2-0 ahead after 3 ends. In our featured game, the highly efficient Italian team, they are 4-1 ahead after 3 ends against Team Ramsfjell. Another cagey affair on sheet 3, it is Team Schneider against Team Hasselborg. Another blank end for them too in the 3rd end, and that remains 2-0 to Team Schneider. And the slow pokes on ring 4 haven't quite finished their third end, so we'll have to come back to them. An intriguing line-up on sheet 3. The young Schneider rink against Anna Hasselborg. Schneider's ring also fun to watch. As I said yesterday, they're again quite difficult to beat. Andrew Schneider's team. They're knocking on the door of the knockout rounds as well. I think in the next year or two we'll start to see them appearing in quarterfinals and semi-finals if they keep up this progression. And they'll be pleased with how that's going against the Olympic champions, Anna Hasselborg's team. They're 2 points up, 2-0 after 3 ends. And keeping that pressure on in this fourth end, Schneider's rink. You can watch that game on the static cam, which is always watching rinks 3 and 4.
Hold linja. Linja er bra, linja er bra. Linja er bra. 5. Linja er strøken, fond 5. Linja er nydelig, fond 5. Litt curl hvis vi kan egentlig.
Norway then with a last stone in this fourth end. And again, this is better stuff, a nicer setup. They've got the corner guard out there, and they've just drawn one in really nicely behind it. Really well done. Big peel coming from Sebastiano Arman, second thrower for Italy. He and Amos have got really huge hits on the middle order in that Italian team. No trouble removing that guard. I sometimes feel that Magnus doesn't look so confident when he's standing. I feel like he looks... He should have more confidence in himself, I think. Hard. This is a good team, Ramsfjell. They've won the Universiad. This exact team of 4 in 2019, I think it was. Yeah, sometimes look a little bit, not nervous, but they don't always look confident out there. That's what I like also about this Italian team. They play with a really happy confidence, no arrogance at all, but just a really nice confidence that they know they've put in a lot of work, they know they're playing well, they know they've got the shots. And that's really fun to watch. So yeah, I feel like I would like to see the Norwegian team look a bit more confident in themselves. They're clearly good players. And that miss from Norway has again handed advantage back to Italy. Italy are 4-1 ahead in this game. Again, they don't need points at this end. They just want to make sure they're not letting Norway try to get points. And looks like Norway are bailing out this end. Norway have last stone. They would rather start scoring. I'm not sure I like this call, to be honest.
Yep. Hard.
They may be thinking they now want to try to go for the blank end, perhaps. But I'm not sure Joe's going to let them do that, and I feel like the more likely outcome is that Italy is going to force Magnus to score 1 point with his last stone, and I feel with that in mind, maybe the better idea with that previous shot from third thrower Martin Sesaker, maybe they should have just tried going for the freeze. If they're going to be forced to score 1 point here anyway, and at the moment that looks like what it is, then they may as well try to be aggressive. May as well try to put a freeze up there, try to get a mistake from Italy. At the moment, they're making Italy's life pretty easy. Joe's going to keep those Italian stones as far apart as he can so that there isn't an easy double. Yeah, you see loads of separation there. It does look like Ramsfjell is committed to trying to blank this end, so he doesn't want to score after all. He's decided, okay, we made a bit of a mistake with our guards, let's try and blank this end, and let's hang on to last stone for the next end instead.
Whoa, whoa,
Gutsy call. I hope it works out for him. Oh, Norway. Oh dear, oh dear. It's just not their morning, is it?
Alto di là.
As I said, for me, this looks like a confidence problem. These are clearly talented throwers. It's a good team. They've been together a while. Yeah, this looks like a brain problem to me more than a technical issue. They don't seem to be getting too downhearted or too dispirited, and that's good to see. But yeah, they're having a lot of misses out there this morning, and Italy playing very nicely, but not really having too much pressure. I think the only difficult shot they really had to do so far was that last stone in the previous end, and then 3, where Joel just had to catch an edge of that nicely hidden red. But apart from that, all their shots have been pretty straightforward, really. And actually they're almost in the place where, yeah, they certainly don't want this short, but they're almost in the place where you're not quite sure what to do, because stones in play can only really help Norway, because that gives them stones to freeze up to corner freeze, that kind of thing. So yeah, good scrub there from the gigantic middle order of the Italian team. Again, you could go for the hit and roll, Magnus, but you're not quite got those hits under control today, and I wonder if the freeze might be a better idea. You're drawing with your last shot anyway. Maybe try and get a nice freeze in there, force Joel to do something about it. Well, let's hope they get this one a bit more under control and get that nice roll. So what they're trying to do, they're playing hack weight. So a stone that's got enough beans to punch that yellow through, and then they want to roll to the left as we're looking at it behind that yellow. If that comes off, then that should be a pretty nice shot. But at the moment, Norway not really making good use when they've got the hammer. They're not quite stringing 8 shots together at the moment.
Clean.
Niklas Burkhardt in the chat. Welcome, Niklas. Nice to see you. He asks, which is your favourite team? I'm sure that's a question for everyone. If you want to jump in the chat with who your favourite team is, please do. Tell us why. So, good effort there from Magnus. But can Joel see? He can see almost all of it, if not all of it. So again, I think that was the more difficult shot for Magnus. I think I might have preferred to see him try a freeze, because that was more likely to get a mistake out of Joel with this his last stone. Now they're contemplating their tactical choices. We can say thanks to the sponsors that you saw at the bottom of the screen there that make this such a fun tournament, a really attractive tournament for all the teams. So simple shot here for Joel Retornaz from Italy. He just has to make this red leave the house. No trouble there. And as I said, about 4 stones ago, or even more, Magnus is forced to draw one with his last stone. So I think they maybe could have made more with their last stone at this end. You can see that they're picking up 1s where the Italians are picking up 2s, and in both end 2 and here in end 4, Magnus hasn't had a chance to pick up 2 either. They're not giving themselves good chances at the moment, but let's steady the ship here again. Make a nice draw, has to be fully 8 foot, which I'm sure he will be. And then really need to tighten up their play for the second half, Norway, or this game is going to get away from them. This looks pretty nice. Yeah, let's go out and give it a bit of a hand, make sure. We've got 3 big sweepers giving it all they've got. No, it was closer than I thought it was actually, but definitely fully 8 foot. Definitely one red. Nice final shot, Magnus, but yeah, we need to tighten this up, Norway, for the second half of this game. And while we're getting ready for this 5th end, we're halfway through in our featured game here in the Baden Masters. We could think about Niklas's question in the chat. He said, which is your favourite team? For me, let's see, Retornaz is definitely one of my favourites. So then I always have to ask myself when I've got 2 or 3 favourites. So say I like to watch Retornaz and I like to watch Dorp. And I like to watch Hoesli as well, so then I have to say, okay, if Retornaz was playing Dorp or if Retornaz was playing Hoesli, who would I want to win in that game? I have to say at the moment, I think the team that I most like to see win is Bruce Mowat's team from Scotland, which gives me the perfect excuse to advise everybody to watch the final match, the gold medal game of the recent Men's World Championships. That was Team Edin from Sweden against Team Bruce Mowat from Scotland. Just a super game. Scotland really didn't do very much wrong, honestly, and gosh, Bruce Mowat is just getting stronger and stronger on that 4th throw. Really fantastic game, but my goodness, was Niklas Edin not in the mood for losing that one. He had to draw to the pin against 4 in the first end. And he did, which really set out his stall for what was coming later. So just a super game to watch. So I think, yeah, probably the team I want to win the most at the moment is probably Bruce Mowat's team from Scotland. They were hoping to be here with 3 other teams from Scotland. I think there were 4 Scottish teams hoping to travel. But unfortunately, they were not able to make it in the end. I think there were delays with getting their vaccinations in time. So our Scottish team's not able to play, but there is a big competition coming up in Scotland in 2 weeks' time. And you should be able to catch up with the Scottish teams there. Well, I think, yeah, if I'm watching anyone else, let's say if Retornaz was playing Peter de Cruz or Niklas Edin, yeah, I would say probably it's this Italian team that I like to see win the most. But yeah, I'm always interested to hear which teams people enjoy watching. So if you have a favourite team and you want to champion them in the chat, then let us know who you like to watch, who you like to see winning. This weekend, of course, we've had 2 rather special guests here at the WCT Baden Masters. Typically, this is a men's competition in the men's WCT Tour. But because of the aforementioned travelling difficulties for some of our teams due still to the pandemic situation, we needed a couple of teams to fill in at rather short notice. And the organising committee thought, gosh, where can we get 2 high-class, top-tier teams to fill in the roster for our competition here? And we were delighted to welcome the ladies' teams of Anna Hasselborg and Irene Schori. And I know there's been a lot of support out there this weekend for both of those ladies' teams. People really admiring that they're willing to play on this big stage with all the top men's teams. Irene's team, their competition is finished for this weekend. They have the bye in the next round, and they finish with 1 win and 3 losses, but a couple of those losses really went to the last stone. They were very close games. So not easy points for the men's teams at all against Irene's team, and Anna's team is still very much in the competition. They got 2 wins from 2 yesterday, and having another close game out there against Team Schneider. And I think a lot of curling fans out there really supporting these ladies' teams in this competition. I think really everybody would really enjoy that if Anna Hasselborg's team, if they got their names on the trophy at the end of this weekend. I think all curling fans would cheer for that result. And yeah, no reason why they can't. As I said, they got 2 wins from 2 yesterday. They're in a very strong position to make qualifying. Hopefully we'll see them in the quarterfinals this evening. And both Anna's team and Irene's team really flying the flag for women in sport, really showing that no reason why in curling the top ladies teams can't compete. They're very competitive against the top men's teams, getting wins off them. As we said yesterday, I'm sure all of the men's teams will be taking these games against the ladies teams just as seriously as against any of the men's teams that they're more familiar with.
Nice.
Ligger 8 fot.
Tappe Egen.
Kan liksom
And of
komme
course
her
this
eller prøve å tappe den
mini
litt.
tradition that started last year. It was the same situation
tappe den,
in
Magnus.
the first WCT men's event in Adelboden.
Dragning
That was
backbutton.
last September.
Dra backbutton.
And it was a very similar situation. There were teams who had entered the competition, they wanted to play, they were ready to come, but had to drop out because of health and travel restrictions. And we were delighted to welcome Silvana Tirinzoni's World Champion ladies, World Championship ladies team to the competition.
Fin linje, ren.
They agreed to fill in at a last minute.
Wow, wow, wow. Næra seg selv. Ren, Martin.
8-9.
Ren. Japp. Wow, wow.
And they had a great competition in Adelboden. They were only knocked out on the last stone of the semi-final.
Veldig bra.
They forced Bannwart Schwartz to draw to the 4-foot, which he did, being Bannwart Schwartz. But yeah, they really led the way and showed that no reason why the top ladies teams can't sub in for the top men's competitions if needed. So at the moment, Italy really in Hoover mode, not letting anything hang around, but not quite coming off for them.
Max 2.
Start of a little bit of a comeback for Norway, maybe.
Høy toer.
2 marginkort.
Vi ikke gi han en 3-run.
And speaking of Norway, we had a question yesterday about the European Championships. They were scheduled to be in Lillehammer last winter in November 2020. This time last year, we weren't sure if that was going to go ahead, and of course, in the end, it had to be cancelled. And we had a question yesterday, how is Lillehammer doing? Are they preparing for Euros? What's going on there? And the quick answer is, I'm not sure, and I'm interested in the answer to that question myself, because my ladies team in England, we are currently the representatives from English curling. And if there is a European Championship in Norway, then I think we may be involved. I texted one of the men's team the other day asking, do you think we need to go to Norway? And he said, oh, I think we do actually. So yeah, I'm interested to know the answer to that question as well, how we're getting on with preparing for Euros in Lillehammer. I've never been to Norway for any reason, so I would be pretty happy to come play curling in Lillehammer and practice my Norwegian words.
Okay.
And similar situation with the Olympic qualifier. Somebody brought that up yesterday. And that's still TBA to be arranged. The competition is scheduled for first 10 days or so in December. There are already 8, I think, teams qualified for next year's Olympics in Beijing. And there are 2 more spots left, and those 2 spots will be decided at the Olympic qualifier. And who gets to play in that is all of the teams who have played in any World Championship in this Olympic cycle. And I know this cycle has been rather disrupted. And I would have to check the rules to check if there have been any small differences in the rules for this Olympic cycle versus previous ones. But typically it would be any team that is not yet qualified for the Olympics but who has played in a World Championship in this Olympic cycle, they are entitled to play in the Olympic qualifier. So massive shot from the big man. And ta-da! No, there's nothing in the forefoot.
På høyden med den, eller litt høyere?
Ja, altså, Pallestein på 4 fot, ikke det fint?
Jeg vil ikke gi han en dobbel, så jeg vil helst ha han på høyden med den. Han kommer til å være nære, så her.
Game, sorry, rinks 3 and 4, just about ground to a halt. There's an awful lot of stones in play on both of them, and an awful lot of jibber-jabber about what's the best idea.
Han kommer til å være ganske nær på den.
We don't have clocks at this competition. Most of the tour competitions don't have time clocks, just because it's a lot of volunteers you need actually. If you want to have time clocks, you need 4 additional volunteers every round, and it just becomes a bit impractical. So nobody really dragging their feet, but if any team is getting a little bit too slow, then the umpire can go out and tell them to get a bit of a wiggle on. But if you're a ladies curling fan, and a Hasselborg fan in particular, you will be pleased to know that Anna just drew the pin to save that end. There were 47 stones in play, I think I counted there, and Anna just drew the pin. She didn't have any backing, she had to make it just perfect, and she did it. And that makes the score after 4 ends on sheet 3, that makes the score 2-1 to Andri Schneider against Anna Hasselborg. Very finely poised that game at the halfway. Yannick Schwaller and Jan Hess on sheet 4. In no rush to have lunch by the look of it. Still 2 stones to come on their 4th end. So 80 minutes for 4 ends over there on sheet 4, which takes a bit of doing. So they may have an umpire going down there some point soon to ask them to get on with it, please. So now finally a bit of a challenge for the Italian team. Although they do have last shot in this 5th end, otherwise I'm sure they would just be removing that red. But now finally a less simple shot for them. They need to get in behind those guards, make sure it's nice and hidden. Amos and Sebastiano sweeping coast to coast on this one. Both of them really moving, and look how far they can move it. Great sweep, guys. And yeah, I think that's nicely in behind. There's, yeah, I was going to say there's a guard just out of shot, that red. And you can see that they swept that right in behind it. No easy way to that yellow. No easy way to the yellow to punch it out, I don't think. Yeah, you could follow it down, but I'm not sure you can play a high enough weight to move it and lie yourself and still be safe. Two more shots to come in this end. One Norwegian red stone and one Italian yellow stone. So this is the last stone for Norway, so this better be good. Or they're looking at losing a 2 again. That's exciting. Jorstein, is that correct? He says the European Championship in Lillehammer is good to go. So start practicing your Norwegian and welcome to Lillehammer in November. Oh, that's, thank you for clarifying that, Jorstein. Indeed, then we should probably start preparing. At the very least, I should probably tell my manager that I won't be there for a couple of weeks in November. Looks like Jostein is on the organising committee, so thank you for joining us, Jostein. That's very cool.
16 på hans, da. Bare kos deg.
Seems a little bit like when we were practicing our Norwegian yesterday. As I was thinking about it, for me it sounded similar to the Icelandic pronunciation. They have all kinds of combinations of letters that you wouldn't think are possible. The Ramsfjell, fjell part, that's quite Icelandic. This looks like a good effort again from Magnus. He needs to get right round it. Oh, look at that. Perfectly judged. Oh, that's a great shot. What a save. Look at that. Now he's really asking a question of the Italians. Yeah, is that the easier way to do it? You can either follow that path on just enough weight to push it, but that could be tricky. Or yeah, I think trying to go for the across the house double could be the easier way. There's no real risk to trying this shot. Worst case, you're going to lose one red and you'll still be 4-3 ahead. And I do think this is probably the easier way to get to that red. So no real risk to trying this. May as well try the nice across the house double. We always love to see that when it comes off. So last stone of the fifth end.
No.
Yes, no sweeping. Sounds promising. Oh, he's not far off, is he? That's a great shot. Look at that. Again, I don't think Magnus could have wandered up and placed that stone much better, but the Italians really have good shot placement. Yeah, I think that was 3, was it? For 1-2-3, yes it was. Let's have a look at that again. What a nice shot. That's always really fun to watch those across the house shots. No trouble there. And the Italians always have really nice shot placement. Typically got angles to use. But look, they're not quite smiling yet. They've got to finish this game out. Yeah, let's keep concentrating. So 7-2 after 5 ends to Retornaz against Ramsfjell. Big mountain for the Norwegians. They've still got smiles, that's good to see, but I think this game may be getting away from them. It's quite a familiar position for this Italian team. As I said, they're very, very efficient when they get the hammer. And look at that, they don't mind giving up one every time Norway's got the hammer. They don't need to steal points, they don't need to complicate things. They just make sure that Norway is only ever picking up 1 point with hammer, and they're picking up 2.
Sembra correr bene, eh? 14-70.
A bit like the Brazilian football tactics, so they say, fine, if you score 1 goal, we'll score 2. And if you score 2 goals, we will score 3. So they're quite happy to just keep the game going like this. Don't need to get it complicated. We haven't checked in on sheet 1 for a little while. That's the game between Bannwart and Hoesli, the 2 Swiss teams. And you can see that the Hoesli team continue to put pressure on. Looks like they're being quite efficient with hammer as well. And they are leading 4-1 in that game on sheet 1. Looks like they've got a couple of stones lying in their 6th end as well. So looking promising at the moment for Team Hoesli. A full end behind on sheet 4. They're just in their 5th end, but after 4 ends, it was another steal for Schwaller. So after 4 ends, it's 4-0 to Schwaller over Jan Hess. Hess's team playing with 3 players, as I said. I'm not sure what's happened to Jan Hess himself. I hope hasn't had an injury or anything. But yeah, it's 4 scores of 1 point to Schwaller, but it is not for lack of trying by Jan Hess's team. They have tons of stones in play every end. Perfect start from Italy there. Again, Norway doing the right thing. They need to pick up really a 2 in this end. I don't think a 1's going to help them very much. They need to pick up at least 2 really, and probably 3. So let's use that corner guard they've put up. Let's not get distracted and get dragged towards the middle.
Skal 3. Skal 3, bare fart. Bare fart, 3 er bra.
Linja er bra.
Linja er fin. Linja er veldig fin. Linja er nydelig. Gå litt på linja, ja.
This might be coming up a bit short, but a double guard's fine.
Litt videre, Bendik, videre.
Better too short than too long on that stone. But he knows, yep, he is going to be looking at 3 Italian stones on the centre line by the time he comes to play their second's first shot.
Linea buona.
Italy's still interested in keeping this all in the house. You might see some teams play more like a centre guard at this point. I think I prefer this shot, to be honest. Guards are just not needed by Italy. They're +5. They really don't want to get in a mess here. So that does mean that Norway can use those stones in the centre to try to get a controlled hit and roll behind cover. That looks like bumper weight, which I think in Canadian is board weight and in Scottish is barrier weight. I think that nice controlled weight, enough to punch a stone through, but not full takeout weight.
Yep.
So a second thrower, Bendik Ramsfjell.
Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Yep.
Certainly got a nice roll. That's more like it.
Køla litt mer å forvente der. Hugger det. Litt redd for å legge opp den trippelen, men han får prøve.
Well, there's definitely an opportunity to remove both of these from Sebastiano Arman, second thrower for Italy. Watch this.
Sì, Momo, sì. Forte.
You see,
A bomba, Momo.
some folks give that a bit of an extra shove with their arm at the end, but that introduces another variable, and you're definitely more likely to be consistent if you can just get that power all from your legs. And that's exactly what he's done. So no more guards. And now what do you do if you're Norway? You can put the guard back, or you could maybe put a red in front of those yellows. But we're still quite early in the end, so yeah, why not put a guard back? You know Italy will try and remove that guard. But there's a bunch of stones behind to maybe catch a stone that's coming at the wrong angle. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And they'll be hoping for a mistake from Italy, either that Italy doesn't manage to completely peel the guard and maybe leaves a guard lying around, or that they catch one of the stones in the house on the way through. So same drill for Amos Mazzana. Again, all that power coming from the drive, not from his arms. But no trouble peeling, gets the angle just right, doesn't leave anything lying around. Maybe, yeah, indeed, a good idea to try that a couple of more times. At some point though, Magnus is going to have to do something about those yellows. He's going to have to play onto those. But yeah, maybe one more guard, see if they can get a mistake. Oh, now, did you see Martin just wiggling that stone around by the handle? That didn't look like a typical delivery, and that can often mean that there's something under the stone, and he kind of wiggles the stone around to try to remove whatever he thinks might have been underneath it. So if there was something underneath, great job, Martin. He definitely managed to remove if there was something underneath, or maybe that is how he always throws, but it looked more like he was concerned there was something under the stone. Love watching the two big Italian guys throwing their nice big peels. Clean, clean, says Joel. No trouble there. Yeah, he's not going to get a mistake out of Italy, I don't think, from there. So I think, yeah, you've got to switch it up now, Magnus. We've got to start doing something with those yellows. So where would be a nice angle? We want to try to use those yellows to maybe give a bit of protection. And where's the best place to put your red? Do you want to put it in front, right in front of all three of them? Or do you want to maybe try and corner freeze onto, do a bit of a freeze onto the one that's sitting right in the middle? Unfortunately, Magnus is right in our way. That's the other way you could do it. You could go for the junior two, as we see. You could just start hitting and rolling and cleaning out the yellows completely. I think that's maybe a little bit more dangerous. Yeah, I like this better. I think it's nicer to keep those yellows hanging around behind T as catchers. Good morning to Bob in Canada. He's joined us in the chat. This is the second draw of the day, Bob. There are three more draws to come today. There are 2 more round robin draws, and then this evening at 8:30 European we have 4 quarterfinals, and that's typically a lot of fun to watch that round. If you have any questions about the tournament, or if you just want to chat curling, don't be shy. Everybody in the virtual club is very nice and friendly. Yeah, meanwhile, all 4 of the team up to have a discussion about this, because it's important that we get this right here. You have your second red, and now we need to put the short red, so to say, so that they will be anticipating that red on the right of our screen. That might not even be there by the end of the end, but it should keep the Italians busy, or give them at least a decision to make. So important now is, where do we want to put a second red? How can we get it safe? I think, yeah, maybe coming up to freeze onto the yellow that's right in the centre. I think that may give you the best options to try to get 2 at the end of this. Important shot here. You can see the score is 7-2 to Italy. Norway has last shot in the 6th end. They haven't really been making good use of their last shot this game so far. Both of those points that they've got, both of those ones in ends 2 and 4, they were only ever going to get 1. There was no chance for 2. Yeah, that's the stone I would have gone for, certainly. I think for me that was just half a metre too heavy. I think if you throw a... I think you can move that red out. I think there's enough of a gap on our right that you could squeeze that red through it. Or he may be going for, no, it doesn't look like he's going for a double takeout. That was also a possibility. You could just play a double takeout on the red. You'll sacrifice that back yellow, but then you would be lying 2 in front of 4 foot, and that could make life quite difficult for Norway. But this doesn't look like a big weight coming. The more ice, the more ice you take, the further the brush is from the stone. Ah, he's going for the double. Well, he just got it in the previous end. I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting it again. Of course, he's really turning the screw, isn't he? Well, though, that was a risk. There's still a red in the 4 foot, and Norway have last stone. Similar decision then. we've got a red in play.
Han kommer til å spille den uansett, tror jeg.
It's in the forefoot, it's even behind the yellow, although it's not such a difficult shot to play yellow onto red. And now, where do we put the second red to give ourselves a chance at scoring 2? 3 stones to come, 2 stones for Norway, only 1 left for Italy.
E poi la spostavi lì.
Man spiller den.
Comunque adesso deve giocarsi qualcosa.
Hvis han ruller opp, så får vi kanskje dobla den uansett for å få 2 her.
Poi cioè, noi abbiamo sempre 2 li possiamo.
Knappen, da. Basically. Ja.
Back button, fryse deres. Ja, altså litt I lomma, altså litt overkøl.
Tra le 2 gialle?
Ikke mye.
Decisions made.
Spiller samme fart som sist tegn I sted, eller det litt hardt? Kanskje litt hardt?
Norway will really be thinking this through to the end of their 8th stone. Similar to their last stone, they'll say, okay, if we play this, then Joel will probably play that, and the stones will end up in this position. So they will really think the next 4 or 5 stones all the way to the end. And of course you can't predict it completely, but it definitely helps to say, okay, if we play like this, probably he tries something like this. That's what they'll be discussing. And really thinking the whole thing through. So this red really needs to be safe. You don't want to leave Joel a chance at a double. He's not afraid to go for the double. He's making them well today. And I think you might have actually left in a double, which I'm not sure if that helped. If you can see all that red, maybe that red would jam onto the back yellow. I think you could potentially lift the triple actually, so that if you go for the front red, the back red squirts out immediately. You do sacrifice that back yellow, but then I think maybe the other red maybe squirts sideways. I can't quite see the angles from here though. That's what I think would happen, where Joel is pointing with his brush. That red that's nestling right in the centre, I think it will kind of go around the clock, so it will first hit the red right next to it, which will go out, then it will bounce itself onto the yellow, and then it will keep going in that direction and bounce itself all the way out the side, I think, but difficult to see from this angle. Here's a nice view. What do you think, viewers? Do you think you can squeeze both of those reds out?
Giocando diretti siamo abbastanza sicuri di forzare, credo. Quasi giocare sulla nostra, Tu giochi proprio questo?
Sì, che questa qua si ferma qua, probabilmente gli rilasci la doppia.
Guarda, dietro.
Hvis han prøver å doble rett på, liksom, går rett på og prøver å skvise min I luka ut, så kanskje han går I fronten, liksom. Det mange måter han kan fucke opp dette.
To me, this is maybe a sign of how professional the Italian team is. I would say, even in the worst case here, they're going to lose a maximum of 2 points and the score will be 7-3. But yet still, all 4 of them are taking a look. What's going to happen? Where do we need to hit it? Where is the shooter going to go? Yeah, you see, Amo's still checking. Just making sure we're all aligned. But yeah, as long as they even move one of these reds, then they're only ever losing 2 points, which they can handily afford to do, but they don't want to. If they could somehow steal a point at this end, then they could probably get off and have an early lunch. So let's see, where do they need to hit it to try to squirt both the reds out? Looks like yellow onto red they think is the best idea. That works. I think every single stone in the house was moving from there. Is there a chance though for a double here to get a big score for the red? So yellow line, that's clear. That red behind it could be tricky. Is there enough space to go for the thin double takeout? for the 3, or should you be a little bit more conservative and just try to move that short yellow stone? I would say it's a fairly straightforward shot for 2. We've got plenty of space to move that yellow either side, really, looks like from this angle. But they are 5 shots behind, and I do think they're wise to look at the options here, to see if there's any way they can pick up 3. I think against a team like Joel's team, I think this game is potentially a bit beyond them now anyway, so I think they may as well try for the 3. If it comes off, great stuff, and if not, maybe this wasn't their game today. A 1 certainly doesn't really help them. I think even if they scored 1, I think they may even go for the game at that point. So I think they're wise to have a go at this 3. Either it works or it doesn't. Either the curling gods are on their side and ready to keep the game going to the 8th end, or it's just maybe not their game today. So, concerning news a little bit, if you're ladies curling fan and a Hasselborg fan, they ended up losing a 2 in that 5th end, so the score over on sheet 3 is 4-1 to Team Schneider over Team Hasselborg. But they've always got plenty of stones in play. They're certainly giving themselves chances to get back. And I'm sure Andrew Schneider will not be thinking of the 8th end just yet. I think he will be absolutely concentrating on every stone. A lead of 3 points can disappear very quickly against the Olympic champions, and I'm sure Andrew will be well aware of that. Okay, so let's see if Magnus can make 3 here. Can he? What a great effort. He doesn't. He picks up 2 though. Super effort. They were definitely wise to go for it. Nearly came off as well. I think 2 points. Yeah, that's enough to play 1 more end at least. Let's see if they can get a steal here in the 7th end. That 6th end much better from Norway. They were asking a lot more of the Italian team there, and certainly paid off. That careful placement of the red stones. They did make it a little bit difficult for Italy to spin everything. And they were rewarded with a nice 2, nearly a 3. That makes her score then after 6 ends. Featured game. That makes the score 7-4 once we put that 2 up. Thank you, Joel. So definitely worth playing on the 7th end, but I'm not sure if that stone maybe had a piece of fluff underneath or something, because that seemed to drop very short. And that's not the start they wanted. Norway need guards out front now. They can't let Italy score again. If Italy even score 1 point in this end, I think the game will be probably over. I think that will be too much to come back from. So Norway really needing guards in play. Yeah, I see the Norwegian guys just having a look at the ice. So maybe there was a little piece of fluff or something under that stone that really affects the stones. If you get a pick-up like that, if the stone picks up a little piece of dirt or fluff or something. But no choice with this. They're going to persist with trying to put up guards, Norway. Again, they know that Italy will be trying to remove the guards. And they just need to stick to their task. They need to not get downhearted. It's a big hitting team, that middle order of the Italians. But they have to miss something. That's better.
grei den.
Just esa parte? No, no, rischi di bloccare una vignetta.
And what does Italy do? They can either use that guard, yeah, or they could try the tick shot and just try to move that guard out of play. But Italy have last stone, so I think this makes more sense. Let's put a second yellow in there, and then we can start removing the guards later.
Linea buona.
Sei lì, occhio. Oh, via allora, via.
So Hasselborg's team, again, plenty of stones in play over there. There are at least 4 yellows in the rings, but there is 1 sneaky red in the rings as well. And now there are 2 sneaky reds in the rings. So definitely trying to give themselves chances on Hasselborg's team to pick up a couple of points when they've got last stone. In the slowest game in the world on sheet 4, Jan Hess's threesome minus Jan Hess, they picked up 2 on the 5th end. So that score after 5 ends is 4-2 to Jannik Schwaller, leading Jan Hess.
Fin linje, veldig fin linje. Forsiktig, henger veldig. Plass. 6. Forsiktig, forsiktig, forsiktig.
This is a nice shot from Norway. Really good.
15-2.
But immediately, looked like Joe was just counting the stones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Free card zone is over.
Clean.
Just making sure. And no mistake from Sebastiano Arman. We're going to see this end look fairly similar, I think, to the previous end, apart from the guard is going to be in the middle. But Norway will continue trying to put that guard out front, hoping they can get. Unlikely to be a complete miss from Italy, but maybe a wrong angle, so maybe Italy leaving a guard out front, or maybe catching those stones on the way through the house if they get it at the wrong angle. And this can be really tough to play against when you're, look how hard those sweepers are working. Oh golly, oh Norway, that's not it.
Det blir mye øl den kappen her når vi har 3 eller 4 hogga steiner nå.
Metà, va fuori in mezzo. Metà piuttosto un pelo più fine di metà. Gioca Pil.
But Italy can't get distracted, they need to finish this game off. I do think after those couple of mistakes from Norway, I do think Italy will finish this off now at this end.
Clean.
Huge throw from Sebastiano again. I think watch out, sheets 1 and 3. And golly, he's left the yellow lying there, right on top of the pin as a little bonus. Very nice. Very nice shot from Anna over in sheet 3. They have last stone in the 6th end. And good news is they're now round 3 with only 1 stone to come for Andy Schneider to try to save this situation. So good chances for Anna's team over on sheet 3. I think everybody's favourite team this weekend really, Anna Hasselborg. We've been cheering for Irene Schori's team as well. Really happy to have both of the ladies' teams being guests in this competition.
Clean. Clean.
Same idea for Norway. They have lost their red stone in the centre, but this is still the correct idea, is to try to put up that guard, try to get a mistake out of Italy. And what a mistake would probably look like is very unlikely Italy would just completely miss hitting the guard, but they're hoping they can maybe get a bad angle and leave a guard sitting out front, or also on a bad angle and catch one of the stones in the house and mix things up that way. Joel had a biggie on there. Looks like he's ready to get some lunch, get some fuel in there.
Litt mer kostevennlig. Ja, det ikke noe farlig å være inn her heller, tror jeg.
So this is the best way that Norway are likely to get a point this end. And I think if Norway don't score this end, I think the game will probably be over. So that stone's just come in a little bit too far. But it doesn't really matter. Italy were always going to hit it no matter what. But now Norway are asking if... Oh my goodness. I was going to say Norway would be asking if they can maybe get a bad angle, but they did get a complete miss. They finally got a mistake out of the big man. And now they have a chance. So yeah, let's all laugh at Amos. That's not like him. Yeah, he's even having a bit of a giggle himself. That's most unlike him. But the slimmest of chances for Norway to keep this game going to the end. But Italy have last stone in the 7th end, so this will need to be 2 real top-tier stones from Norway to stop Italy finishing out this game here, I think. Okay, so ladies curling fans, I think Anna Hasselborg is lying 2 after Andre Schneider's stone. And it looks like she has a wide open draw for 3, I think. I will confirm for you as soon as I can. And that would make the game on sheet 3 really exciting. If the ladies can grab back 3 points. As I said, they've had stones in play every end. They've been really working to give themselves chances. And hopefully their patience is about to pay off. The sweeper's standing back a bit, but she does have another stone to catch it, but I don't think she's going to need it. I think that's a big score of 3 for Hasselborg. That's really got them back into the game. Well worked there. Not quite confirmed, not quite up on the scoreboard yet, but as I said, I believe that was 3 for Anna Hasselborg's team, which would be a score of 4 each in the game next door. But let's see how our feature game finishes out. Has Joe got a double? Oh, he has, look at that. Oh, so even that little mistake from Amos Mozana, I think that's the only stone he's missed all game, but Norway tried to take advantage of that. But I think it's a little bit too little too late, so only one shot to try here. That's to get in behind that yellow that's just on the front rings there. And cross your fingers, really. That was a big 3 for Anna Hasselborg's team, and the score after 6 ends on sheet 3 is 4 each. Over on sheet 1, Team Hoesli, they maintain their quiet, tidy progress to the quarterfinals as well. They are leading 6-2 over Team Bannwart, and they are in their 8th end. Bannwart with last stone. And lying 1 just now, but I think this is looks like skip stones coming. And I don't think I see where a 4 is coming from Team Bannwart. But stranger things have happened. Back to our featured game. That's exactly the only shot Magnus had. He couldn't have walked up there and placed it much better. They've given themselves the slimmest of chances to pick up 1 here. But surely if Joel just moves that red, I think that will be game over.
Da har vi litt å spille opp igjen neste kamp, vet du. Vi sparer alle treffene til da, og til kvartfinalen.
So let's finish this here, Joel. Sweeper standing off. Just clean, that's always a nice happy sound. And look at that, no mistake. I think he is going to hang on for 2 points. Yes, he is, and I'm sure that will be it. Yeah, those fist bumps all around. That was really nicely played, Italy. Norway didn't have their happiest game there, did they? But still, very few misses from that Italian team. I think there was maybe like 2.5 shots missed for them in that whole game. Retornaz looking really nice and strong, and I think that win there, I'm pretty sure that qualifies Joel's team for the quarterfinals this evening. They do have another game this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Joel's team will play the young Bannwart team, who don't seem to be having such a winningy weekend. I think their competition may be finished for them if they lose here to the Hoeslis. But they could certainly make Joel's life difficult. I'm sure Bannwart, they would love to finish with another win, and they could make Joel's life difficult if Retornaz doesn't win that final game. Then you get into last shot draw challenge and things like that. But that's exactly what we're doing here. This is the last shot draw. They're not playing an 8th end. This is the last shot draw for the next game against the Bannwart rink later on this afternoon. That's at 4 o'clock European. And as I said, it doesn't matter who in the team does last shot draw. It can be any of you. And typically it would be either the 4th thrower or lead thrower. And Simone is the lead thrower for Italy. Oh, I think he's just about found the paint there, but maybe somebody needing some lunch. I think that's almost a full circle there. You can see that's not like him. Typically he's very reliable with his 4-foot draw. Handy win there for Joe Retornaz. They're looking strong again in this competition. From memory, I think they made it to the semi-final here last year. And then I think they were knocked out by Dorp, I think. So love to see them go 1 or 2 sets better this time. But first things first, they are doing very well. That's 3 out of 3 wins for them. And that's game over on rink 1. That is a win for the Hoesli team over Bannwart. And that's an interesting group. So I will go and check just shortly. But I think there are 3 teams in contention there. I think only 2 can qualify for quarterfinals later. And all of Dorp and Hoesli and Retornaz, all of them in the mix for that. The Hoesli team, they have a bye at 4 o'clock. They've played their 4 games now. They just have to watch this final round, but I think they've put themselves in a good place to make quarterfinals. I'll try and work that out for you in just a second. Last shot draw then coming up for team Ramsfjell. They will play Dorp this afternoon. And again, I don't think Ramsfjell can qualify for quarters, but they can definitely make Dorp's life difficult. They will definitely want to get a nice last shot draw here and start off with hammer against the Dutch. Dorp's team had the morning off. Maybe they've been out enjoying the sunshine. We have a lovely late summer weekend here in Baden. That's a strong sweep. I thought that was going to just hold up in the front ring, so that gets to the 4-foot. Nice sweep there, boys. That gives himself a chance against Dorp. Dorp will have done their last shot draw yesterday evening, and not sure how that went, but that should give Ramsfjell a chance. So let me go and investigate then what that group looks like. So an interesting situation actually. So Ramsfjell, they are still in with a chance. They had 2 wins yesterday and they're on 4 points. So they dropped points there, but they're sitting on 4. And if they do get the point off Van Dorp, they will knock Van Dorp out of the competition. So Van Dorp has to win this afternoon actually. If Ramsfjell wins, they will go to 6 points and they will qualify. Retornaz is already on 6 points, so they're definitely qualified. There are not 2 teams that can get past them, so Retornaz for sure is already qualified. Ramsfjell in good position, they're in charge of their own fate. The Hoeslis, they are also still on 4 points, and they would be relying on the last shot draw to jump ahead of Ramsfjell. They need Ramsfjell's team to lose the game this afternoon, and they need their last shot draw to be better, and they would also need their last shot draw to be better than Van Dorp. So we could have 3 teams in Group C finishing on 4 points, and then the last shot draw would come into play. So very tight group there, and definitely both those games this afternoon, Bannwart versus Retornaz and Van Dorp versus Ramsfjell, both of them could definitely count. So only 1 game left out there. A big 3 to Schwaller in the 6th end on sheet 4 has mercifully finished that game without it going to 8 ends in an extra end, or I think we would be here till about 2 o'clock. So that final score on sheet 4 is 7-2 to Schwaller over Hess. And we only have 1 more game out there, and it's the really tight game between André Schneider from Switzerland and Anna Hasselborg from Sweden. That's on the static cam, if you want to go and watch that. The static cam watching sheets 3 and 4. And I think I'll definitely stay and watch the end of that. They're in their 7th end. And scores are level. It's 4 each after 6 ends. Again, plenty stones in play. They've had stones in play every end that I've been looking at in this game. Anna's team, again, look like they're lying pretty nicely. So maybe you could have your phone could look at the static cam, and we can listen together here. I was floating the idea of radio curling yesterday, where I just describe what's happening on the curling sheet, but I think that would get old a bit quickly, wouldn't it? I don't think radio curling would ever take off, but 7th end here, Schneider against Hasselborg. Decent effort from Team Schneider, but Hasselborg still lying. The situation is, if you're not on the static cam, there's 1 centre guard from Anna's team out front. They have a stone just in the front rings behind it. Schneider does have a stone top of 4 foot, but difficult to get to, and at the moment Anna's team are lying short, but just behind T-line. So intriguing situation. While that game's playing out, they're in their 7th end on sheet 3. While that game's playing out, I can tell you what's coming up later today. At the 1:45 draw, that's 1:45 European time, our featured game will be Edin against Nedregotten, the 3rd Norwegian team. I will be recharging the chat batteries for this afternoon and this evening's games, but you can all enjoy Edin against Nedregotten. That's our featured game on sheet 2, the static cam. They will be watching sheet 3 and 4. On sheet 3, we have Peter de Cruz, already qualified for the quarterfinals against young Huerlimann from Switzerland also. And on sheet 4, we have Team Totzek against Team Traub. And on sheet 1, the invisible sheet, we will have Team Walstad against Team Magnusson. Team Magnusson bouncing back with a really nice win this morning. Golly, 3 stones then in the 4-foot in this Hasselborg against Schneider game, and I think that looked like a nice stone from Andrew Schneeberg. Oh no, it's his 3rd player. That looked like quite a nice stone. I think Schneider's team may be lying now, maybe lying 1 red. 4 stones to come in the 7th end. And we've been saving the best till last in this round robin. We will be featuring Anna Hasselborg's game at 4 o'clock European. We'll be featuring their game against Team Schwaller. So Schwaller having a very handy win there over Team Hess. But yeah, Team Hess playing with 3 this morning, making life a little bit difficult for themselves. But yeah, Schwaller in hot form. And that will be a really exciting one. So join us definitely for that at 4 o'clock. That will be our featured game. Team Hasselborg against Team Schwaller. Then this evening at 8:30 European, we have the 4 quarterfinals. A couple of teams already qualified, as we said. Joe Retornaz, they're already qualified. Peter de Cruz, they're already qualified. I think Schwaller is already qualified after that win as well. If Hasselborg wins here, they go to 6 points also. So big hit from Anna there with her first shot in the 7th end. She does clear out quite a few stones. I think that was a triple takeout. But what she's done is left that original stone top of the 4-foot behind 2 centre guards really for Andrew Schneider. So Schneider with a big chance now to get a 2nd red in. 3 stones to come, 2 for Andrew Schneider and 1 more for Anna Hasselborg. Next draw is at 1:45. We've got a little bit more flexibility today. 5 draws today rather than 6 yesterday. Next draw at 1:45 European, so in just over 1 hour. Much discussion going on with Andrew Schneider's team, all 4 of them having a look at this. Again, not really discussing about what to do here. They want a 2nd red into the playing area, but where should they put it? How can they best hide it from Anna Hasselborg? Give themselves a best chance at picking up 2 points. Discussion over by the look of it. I think we're coming to a consensus there. Stone on its way for Andrew Schneider. This is the first of his stones in the 7th end. Lying one already. And they need to get another one in and try to stop Anna Hasselborg from removing both of them or limiting their scoring. And after all that discussion, he's muffed it. He's played it too high. And it's just hanging on at the back line. That's not going to help him because there's nothing he can do about that front yellow, I don't think. So I have an idea Anna will play a similar line, but she probably just want to reach maybe about back 4 if possible. She could definitely do with having another one in because the counterclockwise handle is fully open. She doesn't just want to leave Andre a nice easy draw on the other handle. This is an interesting group as well. Yannick Schwaller with that win over Jan Hess, they have now qualified for the quarterfinals. If Hasselborg wins here, they will also qualify for the quarterfinals. Jan Hess, their round robin is finished and they're on 2 wins and 2 losses. So those top 3 all still in contention for quarters. Right, come on Anna. Last stone for her at the 7th end with 1 more to come from Andrew Schneider. She wants to make sure this is at least safe 2nd stone. Looks like the sweepers are pretty happy with it. Oh, they just touched the edge of that yellow. And I think there's definitely strong possibility for Andre to make 2 points here. I don't know if they maybe missed the sweeping call there or if the stone took an unexpected curl right at the end. It was always going to be close, that one. They had to sail quite close to that guard to get the stone correct. Oh, there we are. We've got a nice view of the head in the 7th end. This is the last stone in the 7th end. You can see, should be straightforward for Andre. I think he can see all of that yellow stone. He just needs to boop it on the nose. Really sweeping it for line. It's a big strong sweep, but yeah, no trouble there. Oh, did that roll too far now? My word, they will be kicking themselves if that ended up being a 1. Golly. We can leave the 8th end because it's on a different stream anyways. Yeah. So I'm also going to jump over to the other stream, but just to watch. So let's all watch the final end together over on the static cam on sheet 3 and 4. We'll be back at 4 o'clock for our featured game, which is also this team in front of you, Anna Hasselborg. They will be playing Yannick Schwaller. That could be a really important game, and I'm sure it will be a fun one either way. So join us again at 4 o'clock. Bye for now.